Hello there. Welcome to Abroad Experience Podcast. This is a place where we hear stories of trips abroad, going on a journey, or maybe working remotely, or things to do with working abroad. And we have guests come and tell us stories and share with us experiences, give us ideas. Always, we have some wonderful time here on this podcast. And because we have wonderful guests like today's guest. So, without taking one more minute, I'm going to let our guest today come in, who is none other than Whitney Gee. Hello, Whitney.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Welcome to our show.
Thank you, thank you. Glad to be here.
Where in the world are you?
I'm currently based in the United States. So I
Okay.
am in sunny Madison, Wisconsin. We get really cold weather, can get like negative 30 here sometimes. So really soaking up the sunshine right now.
Okay. So, how hot is it that it's shining today?
Well, we speak in Fahrenheit here for no reason at all. I wish we were on Celsius like everyone else in the world. So it's
Okay.
like 90 degrees. So quite hot. I think that's like 30 plus in
Okay.
Celsius if I did the conversion right. So it's hot. It's a little humid, but you got to take the sunshine while you can.
Yeah, I think it's about the same way that we are having here. I mean, Athens,
Y-
Greece is a bit too hot. I
Yeah.
wasn't even expecting this today. It's a bit hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did my Hi? Do you hear me?
You dropped off for just a moment, but you're back.
Yeah, I was curious. Was it mine or yours? So, thank you. So I was saying it's quite high here also.
Yes. Yes. Summer
Yeah, and
sad.
we thank technology that we are able to connect from different parts of the world and share experiences, share stories.
It's a beautiful gift.
Yeah, let me introduce you to the viewer that you are a person who's done seven figures building impact-driven international retreats and coaching businesses. That's quite a good way to be connected with someone who's just experienced abroad in a different way, seven-figure experience abroad. Um, but before you go there, maybe you can tell us as a backstories of where you're coming from, what you've done to find yourself where you are.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
I was probably like so many of us where I was in a corporate role. So I did kind of everything I was meant to do. I went to university, I got really great grades, I graduated. Literally the day after university, I started in corporate roles and I just kept climbing the ladder. And I had a bit of a health collapse when I was in my kind of mid 20s. And my body was just not responding well to the high amounts of stress, the more leadership roles that I took on, the more stress would mount and I didn't have the tools to cope with it. So I hit a brick wall. I wasn't sleeping well. Even though I was eating and working out, I kept gaining weight and I kept going to all these doctors in the United States and no one could figure out what was wrong with me. And so
Mhm.
I really hit this precipice. Oh,
Yeah, keep
you're back.
going.
Okay, great. So I hit this precipice in which I really had to decide, okay, I want to go to grad school, but before I do, I want to take an adult gap year. And for those who don't know what that is you take a year off of life, which is, I am of Asian descent, so I'm Chinese American. It's very important in our culture to go to school, do the job, do all the things. And so for my family, it was a big leap of faith for me to come to them and say, hey, I'm thinking about before going to grad school, taking a year off and traveling the world. And surprisingly, my family was actually super supportive. I was a little nervous about my dad, but he said, no, go for it. So I was able to really take a big leap of faith. I sold everything I owned and got a tiny little storage unit. and went on my first kind of walkabout, and I did 18 countries that first year. So I was on a mission because I was like, I'm going back to corporate. I'm going back to the man. I got to see everything, explore the world as quickly as I can. And in that time, I started to heal my body. I started to feel better. I started to slow down when I eat. I started to have real engagements with people. I started to heal in a more holistic way. And that's when I really started to understand that even though when I was in America, I was drinking the green smoothies and I was waking up at 5 a.m. to get my workout in and I was doing everything right on paper, that wasn't actually holistic wellness. It's not what my entire body and my spirit needed to be happy and healthy. So I ended up going to Bali on one of my last little bits of freedom before I was like, okay, I'm going to do a month-long yoga retreat and then I'll go back to my grad school plans. And that's when I ended up running into somebody who became my business partner for many years. And we started a retreat business. And fast forward, that business, it started with just 16 people in Bali, one retreat. And it was one of the most powerful, amazing things. And I grew that all the way into a 7-figure business. And we were doing 40-person events where we would rent out entire wellness resorts, and really have these transformational experiences with individuals of people who needed what we needed, which was healing on a holistic level.
Wow. Wow, wonderful. I'm not so sure whether it's my side or your side, but we'll find out. Anyway, we keep
Right.
going because we are still live. So that's wonderful. So when you say wellness, what exactly do you mean? Like you are engaging people with?
So, for our retreats in particular, we called it the whole experience. And
Okay.
so, for us, wellness is not just meditate and yoga and eat healthy. Wellness also comes from joy and having areas to decompress and share and create real connections with individuals. So, we had an emotional arc with our retreats where, yes, we would do the traditional, what you think of when you think of a retreat in terms of the yoga and the workshops and the healthy food, but we'd also take people on tours. We had a nonprofit give back arm. So every country we went to, we would give back to the local community. So we supported after school kid programs in the townships of South Africa. We did turtle rehabilitation projects in Costa Rica, so that individuals get to get off the beaten path and really get to be a part of a culture and a community. And I think that's what whole wellness is all about. It's about community, it's about yourself, it's about the whole world, and really taking time to slow down and figure out what's important to you, what has value to you, and how do you connect in, especially in today's society.
Which other countries did you have you done it? Like you mentioned, South Africa and Costa Rica, and I guess quite some more countries that you've been to and who held the retreats in.
So I personally traveled to 64 countries. I try to do a new country every year, and I've hosted in 9 different countries. So I've done
Okay.
Spain and Italy, Costa Rica, Thailand, Bali. We've done South Africa. We've done Kenya. So Colombia. We really try to make sure Greece as one as well. That people could come with us year after year because I think that's so important, especially in North America. We generally get a very limited amount of vacation time. So we wanted to give space, especially for women, that they could spend their vacation without having to plan, without having to think of everything. They could just come and be present and fully enjoy a different country. So that's why we always travel to different places.
I'm in contact with people who are doing remote job. Some are coaches, some are nomads, and then we get to meet once in a while. And I'm wondering, because we meet in festivals, I'm wondering if someone would want to start doing retreats because that sounds good. Where exactly do they begin? Like I wake up tomorrow and I say I want to do a retreat and maybe as a source of income.
Yeah. So what I'd highly recommend, especially because now retreats, back when I started in 2018, it wasn't as saturated of a market. I think there was a big push after COVID, a
Mhm.
resurgence of retreats, which is exciting because they're necessary. But I think what's super important is to find your niche. Who do you speak to? Particularly if you're a coach and you're serving individuals already, if you have a brand where people understand who you are and what you provide, that's super important because now people can know what they're getting into. So retreats don't just have to be about yoga or, wellness. They could be business retreats. And I've seen this play really well where people come in and learn how to build AI agents, how to set up their marketing business, how to run a fashion business. So, literally anything that you want to run a retreat on is possible. But I think it's very important for you to already have a bit of an audience that has that know, like, trust. They trust you, they see you, because to ask somebody to fly across the world and to spend a week of their holiday with you is a very big ask. So having that trust is the first place that I would start, build there. And if you already have that, then think about what's the transformation that somebody's going to get by going on a retreat with you. Where are they before and where are they going to be after? And that's a huge value add, because especially in America, we're seeing a lot of people decrease spending in all other regions, except in wellness and travel is actually something that's expanding, increasing spend. So there is room and potential and white space there to be capitalized.
And for this person that is just about to start, I know one of the things is the first one. Uh, where do I hold it? The place, the location. Is it a co-living? Is it a hotel? How did you get started in the first place? I mean, was it a friend who lent out a place or what?
So I'd highly recommend, and this is another reason why having a bit of following is really helpful, because you can
Mm-hmm.
launch a paid wait list. So launch a wait list, let's say it's $500 and it's a paid wait list, because then you can test and validate demand. So you know before engaging in a venue that it's going to be something that you can fill. I also highly suggest only hosting in places that you have personally been before and you have some understanding of, and that's really going to be helpful. A lot of retreats go with renting out rooms and hotels, but you have to feel into, does this match the vibe that I want? Like a business retreat can work really well in a hotel because you don't need that intimacy. But if you're doing like trauma retreats or healing retreats, it can be hard to want to curate a container and space and then have other people taking shots at the bar and partying, and you're trying to do this healing reset. So feeling into the vibe, maybe for you, a small intimate villa is better suited because of the work that you want to do. So I would really encourage you to first figure out what is the pain points I'm trying to address of my client, what is the experience that they need in order to address that, and then start reverse engineering from that destination that you want to be at. And that's what's going to set you up for a really powerful retreat.
Going to a place that you want to hold a retreat, or you go to a place and then in the visiting, that's when you say, oh, this place could be a good place for a retreat. For example, let me use my country, Kenya. Had you gone to Kenya before you made the decision to do a retreat, or how did it happen?
Yes, so we went to Kenya several times on our own. It was one of our favorite places. And we look at something that's going to be, especially for our clientele as an example, they're women who don't always have people to travel with. And so Kenya is one of those destinations where it's quite exotic, it's far from home. So you want to go someplace where, hey, I have people that I'm traveling with. And then what we did is we partnered with a boutique hotel. They're technically the host of the retreat. And then we all come and they book everything with us. So they help us organize the meals, the tours, everything else. So we have an on-site host that becomes the on-ground representative of our retreat. And they really help execute everything so that this retreat can be really feeling authentic to Kenya. And we work with local Kenyans to really make sure that it has that participatory development and that experience that is really important to us.
I know working with the coaches and those people, whoever wants to hold a retreat, the mindset is something that you work on. And I'm trying to imagine someone who's not done this event before, has not done a retreat before. One of the big issues is pricing. I mean, how do I start? And now you talk about having a wait list that is paid. How do
Yeah.
I just convince myself that these people are going to pay, or how does that go in fixing my mindset?
Wonderful question. And I think in all business because I have built a business in retreats. I built a business in coaching. I've been at that beginner level and I've been at that place of seven-figure business. And I know all the places in between. And I think, and I coach a lot of people who are building businesses. And one of the things that I see being one of the biggest blockades is our mindset and the ability to say, hey, I can do this. I can take up space. I can be in the forefront. And so I think really taking time to build your audience is really important because you're going to have that positive feedback loop. You're not feeling like I'm just going to launch something and throw it into the ether and hope that people respond. You can do, I always coach people to do small stepping stone retreats. So maybe first I do an online event and I bring people into a space like this where maybe on Zoom or something where, I'm teaching what I love to teach. I'm talking through what I could do in these retreats and giving people a little kind of taste, a sample of what that might be like. Then maybe I would do a weekend event. And I had a client who did this, and she started with 2 in-person events in her hometown that were one-day wellness retreats. Then she positioned that, and she's got her first retreat coming up in Colombia. So she did these little stepping stones to grow her email list, to grow her audience, to be identified and recognized as a space holder, and then jumping into kind of the bigger international retreat, because that's a big leap. And if you don't have the email list, you don't have the audience yet, then it's really going to be challenging. And you'd have to go to like cold traffic with ads and other things, which I wouldn't quite suggest in this very saturated market.
Is there a big number, small number to do a retreat, or what's the average number of retreats that I could do in a year?
So I've once done 7 retreats in a year. And for me personally, that was like as many as I possibly could do. I want retreats to continue to feel really spacious. For me personally, I found 4 retreats a year is like the prime number because for me, it's about travel. Like I want to travel and explore. And so usually I've been nomadic for 10 years when I was running this business. I would go and run a retreat once a quarter in these different regions of the world. So Latin America, Europe, Southeast Asia, and then maybe closer to home. And the beautiful thing about that, it allowed me to travel, to live in those areas and then go to the next destination. So I felt really spacious with retreats. When you're doing 7, you're just popping around and you're constantly moving, and it becomes more about the job than the lifestyle. And for me, retreats are a big part of creating a lifestyle business. It's about creating impact. It's about creating this curated space. And it's hard to do that when you're exhausted and feeling jet lagged and traveling all over constantly.
And I'm curious to know, in these different retreats that you do, because you're in one country this time, in another country the other time, the people that showed up to your retreats, are they the same people? Do you have different people every time, or maybe 1 or 2 people who comes with you to some places and some don't? What's the flow? What's the what's the flow?
So, Anthony, I've actually had somebody come to 9 retreats in 7 years. So, I would see her more often than my own parents. And it was so fun because it would be like, okay, we would leave one country, and I knew that later in the year I would see her again.
Mhm.
And so, because you go to different destinations, a lot of people, depending where they're at in life, that just becomes their annual retreat of the year, the annual vacation of the year. Some people might go on 1, 2 retreats, but we would typically see at least 50% of our clientele coming back for 1 or more retreats. Because they just found so much value. And because we do the different countries, everyone is going to be a little different. We have the same kind of structure in value add and delivery. You're going to get, all meals catered, airport pickup, beautiful accommodations. But then whatever we're going to be doing in that country changes. And that's what helps it create a reoccurring revenue model where you're not always having to go for cold traffic and new people. You have your travel tribe and community that get to travel with you, for example, in Athens, and then the next destination that you pick, which is really, really fun.
Hmm. And because I know that you help people to just do these planned trips, retreats, tell us how you go about it, what the support that you give, and how people can just get to gain from your experience, many years experience.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I have two paths that you can take. If you have an established audience, so let's say that you've been in the business for a very long time, you've got a big audience, maybe you're already selling digital products. I have an offering where I do everything for you, white gloves. So I'll plan the logistics, book the venues, do everything for you so you can really show up and be the star of your community. And if you're just getting started, I have a second track where I have a self led program where you can learn at your own time. Because most of us, when we're beginning our entrepreneurial journey, we've got our head kind of going in a million different directions. And so that really affords you the ability to take it at your own pace and really be able to learn how to launch. It's all the systems that I wish I had when I was getting started. I didn't know what I was doing when we started this business,
Mm-hmm.
to help fast track individuals to getting to success as quickly as possible.
Hmm. And when you say you do it for the person, does it mean that, is it that uh, you agree on the revenue share, or is it that they have to prepay in order for you to hold for them? How does that work?
Great question. So I typically charge a retainer at the front end just to make sure that my work that I do on the front end is covered. And then I charge per person a small fee per a guest participant because I go in and I build all the systems such as welcome calls, email nurturing, giving them all the guidebooks and everything that they need, and really making sure from the time somebody puts the retreat in their shopping cart all the way till they get home, they have a support system. And that actually takes a lot of touch points. It takes a lot of support. It's not just about the 1 week experience. Typically, for a lot of these retreats, I say to book them out a year in advance so you can do payment monthly plans and make it very spacious for your sales window. So that's why I set it up in this way to make sure that it's more spacious for the retreat hosts themselves and to really make sure that I'm here as a part of their team and making sure that we get this completed for them.
Challenges that you faced in the journey? Tell us.
Oh, Anthony, there have been a few. Let me tell you. I think one of the biggest challenges that we all collectively experienced was, of course, COVID, and that impacted us in many different ways.
Mm,
For me personally, I'll never forget the day that I went into my account and checked our banking, and because we were a travel business, our accounts are frozen,
mm,
and we were literally in South Africa when they started shutting down borders, and we had to
oh,
get a group back home, and we were meant to have another retreat coming in a week, so we had to cancel their whole retreat. And then at the last minute we were like, I think we'll just stay in South Africa. And I'll never forget, my parents said absolutely not, like, you need to come back to the United States. And I hadn't been in America for 7 years at that point. I'd been living nomadically. So to take this beautiful business, and we had hit this point where we would launch a retreat and we would sell out in one weekend. Like, we were selling retreats like hotcakes. It felt like, we made it. Like, this is what all this hard work has been. And that's when COVID happened.
mhm,
And it was really, really tough. But at that point, what it challenged us to do is we were already coaching between retreats, and it really helped us formalize a coaching process. We turned it into this amazing, powerful, transformational 4 month coaching program. We had individuals working with a psychotherapist, dietitian, nutritionist, accountability coach, and we were helping people love themselves into wellness. And it was such a beautiful, robust program. And so, silver linings, it helped us be able to position that. And then when COVID kind of started coming to a little bit of a close and the world started opening up, we combined retreats and coaching programs together. And I think that was one of the most foundational businesses that we could ever have, because you have reoccurring revenue from your coaching business, and then you have the stimulus and pop revenue from your quarterly retreats. That is a really powerful business model. And that's what I really encourage people to do, is create your coaching business and then add retreats in on top of that to extend lifetime value and help reduce client churn, because people are going to want to stay in your world when they get the power of both.
hmm. That was quite a tough time for many people who are in the travel industry, those like
Yes.
in retreats. It really hit. And not only that, many industries really suffered during that time.
Yeah.
What could be the current experience or the challenges that people could be going through? Like, someone is planning to start a retreat business right now. What challenges could you tell them to expect?
I think right now what we're seeing is this crazy revolution with AI. It's obviously AI has been here for a very long time, but now we're seeing so much adaptation of the modern average business owner, that content is becoming more loud, spaces are becoming more crowded, ad spend is getting harder to invest in
Mm-hmm.
because it's becoming more expensive to get the attention economy that we want. So I think, building an audience takes time. You have to have patience, you have to have faith and trust in yourself, as well as, when you go on to places, there's a lot of platforms that are promoting retreats. You'll notice that there's a lot out there. So you also have to ask yourself, what am I bringing to the table that's different than everyone else? How am I going to stand out in my niche? And I think that with what we're seeing is more audiences are wanting experiences and wellness. So it's a great time, but you have to be hyper clear. Like, gone are the days where you can say, well, I'm just a yoga retreat and, I do what everybody else does and I'm going to price myself at the same price point. That's going to be a super hard space to go into. What you need to know and honor and recognize is, what do I do really, really well? Who am I speaking to that's not being spoken to right now? And where's that white space? And then know, even once you're there, it's going to take some time, and patience is one of the most important games, because I think sometimes we get a negative feedback loop. We feel like we're not getting the response that we want, so we want to quit. But I think it's one of the most important things to have in business is that tenacity to lean in and trust and have faith in yourself that you can keep going. And so is it, for me, when I went to go quit my job and start traveling the world, I worked for an entire year. I saved up $20,000 so I had a safety net. And then that's what empowered me to travel the world. So if you're like, I want to start this retreat business, I want to do this thing, what's the safety net that you could give yourself to give it a year plus, to trust yourself? And I think that's something strategically that's really important to have outlined before you take that big leap.
Oh, thank you for that. It's wonderful. And yeah, we talked about challenges, but then I know in all those experiences that you've had, there's that specific one, that particular one that you relive day and again, and you say, wow, that was quite a time. In which country, where, what was happening, what made it so special? Tell us.
Special or challenging?
Special, special.
Special.
We
Okay.
finished about challenging.
Okay,
Yeah,
good, good.
let's talk special.
I was going to say, I have so many crazy stories. Special, I think, one of the most special retreats that I think we did was a retreat in Bali. And it was very special because we started our retreat journey in Bali. And
Mm-hmm.
when we got there, the reason we started it is because we felt like retreat spaces were quite linear. They were all yoga, or they were all CrossFit, or they were all like tiny people. There wasn't a space for everybody that felt super inclusive. So that's what we really built our brand on, is the retreat for everybody. And so when we had one of our last retreats that we've ever had with my past business, the whole experience, we actually rented out an entire wellness resort, and it had 3 swimming pools. It had like 3 different yoga shalas. We had our own night market on site. We had a live DJ every night. And when I looked around, it was 45 guests. So we had the entire resort just to ourselves, filled with people from our brand and our tribe, whole experience. And it was so beautiful. We curated the space that we wanted to see in the world. And as an entrepreneur, that's your dream, right? Is you have a pain point oftentimes, and you say, well, I'm best positioned to solve this pain point because I see it and I experience it. And when I looked around, it was people of all different shapes of sizes, people from all different walks of life, coming together to celebrate in this luxurious, beautiful, iconic, we were in this great ice grass fields. It was just so incredibly beautiful. And it was that moment where you just kind of look back and be like, oh my gosh, I did it. Way back in 2018, when we had this little idea on the back of a napkin, we've grown it into this place where we could rent out an entire resort and fill it with people who are there for the same reasons. And I think those are the moments where you kind of like scratch yourself, pinch yourself, and say, wow, we're really powerful as humans. Humans can truly do anything.
No. And recently, I've been hearing people talk about my 5-day figure day. I mean, my 5-figure day, my 7-figure. And in those retreats that you've done, is there maybe one that you, or if you're comfortable talking about it,
Yeah,
which
of
could have been
course.
your highest rated, or rather highest
Yeah.
earning retreat?
So, highest earning retreat, we've done 7 figures in a week. And those are definitely the ones where we have like 40 plus people and we rent out an entire resort.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just retreat ticket sales, but also the combination of opening up enrollment for coaching opportunities. So, we have a high ticket coaching program as well. And
Mm-hmm.
when you combine that, because a lot of people predicate their purchasing power on trust. So before they buy a big coaching program, if they've got a big enough pain point, what they're searching for is somebody who's going to give them the faith and trust that they can solve that problem. So when you have a retreat, you get to experience firsthand, oh my gosh, I love this person's ethos. I love the way they work. I believe in what they're teaching. Now, all of a sudden, you can combine that power and people easily say yes. So you're not going through, in sales, we talk about these objection handlings. It's so hard to get people to roll into your top line products. Retreats make it really easy to enroll. So those really help make a 7 figure week possible. And it helps make sure that if you have, for example, a $12,000 mastermind, which is $1,000 a month, which is not that expensive for a lot of coaches and people who are investing in their business. So let's say that you had that. All of a sudden, not only is it the $5,000 retreat ticket price, it's the $12,000 mastermind. That's a lot of value that you can generate in one week and a lot of value you can promise to deliver on for that participant, not just for the week, but the entire year. Like if you could work with someone for a year, imagine what you could help them achieve. And
Mm.
most of us, we can achieve anything. We just need the time and the focus. And that's what you can give them when you get to work with them for a year. So that's a super powerful way to make 7 figures in a week.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's quite a lot of value, and we appreciate. We're almost coming to the end of the episode, but I know there may be something that you want to say before. Maybe you haven't mentioned and you had prepared. If I'm given a chance, I'm going to share this. Please tell us what that is.
Yes, I actually have a free gift for your audience. It's how to identify your client avatar. So I'm going to share it with Anthony. He'll put it in the show notes if possible. But this is one of the exercises that I have my students start with first, which is just that low hanging fruit of tapping into who do you want to serve? What pain points are you uniquely positioned to address? And it helps give you that North Star. And so if you're thinking of all these different things and you get bogged down by the logistics and the fear, start with something that feels good, that helps you solidify the vision, and use that as your anchor point to remind yourself, does my copy speak to this person? Am I showing up as the person who's going to be able to serve this? What am I creating from a retreat? Does that help this person? And that creates so much focus and clarity for a business.
Wow, thank you very much for that. Is that offer on your website?
It's not on my website. It's going to be exclusively for you. So I'm going to send you over the link after this.
Okay, and I guess people can want also to connect with you. How can they do that?
Yes, I'm on all the socials, so you can find me on Instagram. I'll drop my website, and I love connecting with people. I'm a real person, so if you've got an idea, drop me a voice note in Instagram. I love helping people work through things. I definitely have people who are just starting their journey or farther along and want support. So wherever you are, please connect, because I think at the end of the day, socials are meant to be about humans, and so I love putting the humanity back in social media. So please, please, please feel free to work out. I'll reach out. I'm an open book.
Thank you for that. Final thing on our podcast, we love sharing some life tips. And the question is always, what's that one thing should we never ever forget?
Mm. Life is not a dress rehearsal. We only get this thing one time. So, really, really cherish and make the most of every moment. You never know when you are on the precipice of greatness. So, just keep leaning in and holding on to that vision and trusting yourself that if you've got that dream, you've got that vision, then why not you?
Wow. This is not a rehearsal. This has been a podcast episode of a broad experience. And I believe that you've gained some real value from what Whitney has shared with us. If that's so, please leave us a comment. Tell us how we are doing. Share it with your friends. And if you've been thinking about holding retreats abroad, this is your chance to do it. You've got the inspiration, the motivation, and also the tips and ideas on how to go about it. And thanks to Whitney G. We appreciate you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and also all of you who've listened to this or who get to listen to the recorded version of this podcast, we thank you for taking your time and we are wishing you all the best in everything. This has been a Broad Experience podcast. I've been your host, Anthony Murore, and together with our special guest today, Whitney Gee, was saying bye for now. Bye.